Hi guys, this is Ray, and welcome back to Nintendo Talks. And in today's video, I actually wanted to talk about recent news that came out of a study based on, I think it was around like over 100,000 people in the United States on what the most reputable companies are in the US. And Nintendo was actually ninth on that list, which I thought was honestly pretty cool. And honestly, even as much as I love Nintendo, and I think they're probably one of the more consumer-friendly video game companies, I really wasn't expecting them to be this high up on the list. Not a lot of other companies showed up on this list as far as electronic manufacturers, not Apple or even Sony or Microsoft, but Nintendo managed to be on there with the number 9 spot. There was other companies like Hasbro and Legos and I think Costco was on there and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just really cool to see that Nintendo is such a reputable company. And I think what's really cool about Nintendo is they don't follow the trends of what other big third-party publishers or console manufacturers are doing in the industry. So a lot of the third-party developers like Activision or EA or Ubisoft are always putting microtransactions and loot boxes in their game and stuff, but, it's just kind of like, Nintendo just kind of changes it up, and they don't follow the trends, and they actually put work into their games and release a full AAA game. And that's really special about Nintendo and stuff. I will say though, Nintendo isn't perfect, obviously. Like, they've had some greedy practices before, like charging, $60 on like certain games that maybe shouldn't be that way, or, shortages on certain things and stuff like that, or even Nintendo Switch Online. So, obviously people know there's problems with Nintendo, but if you compare like Nintendo to like, let's say, EA or Activision, it's a night and day difference, really. So I just think, the industry really needs to stop trying to monetize people via microtransactions and loot boxes and really just kind of focus on quality content. And I feel like really the industry is just in a really weird place right now. I mean, one of the biggest publishers or third-party developers in the gaming industry, Electronic Arts, happens to also be one of the most hated, or if not the most hated publisher in the video game industry. So it's kind of like, that can't be really sustainable. I mean, you can't have all this backlash and all this microtransactions and all this low-quality games and just like stuff that kind of indicates a video game crash and not have problems. And on to that, as far as like people have been predicting for like a few years now, I'd say ever since the 7th generation or this generation, the 8th gen, with the PS3, 360, and PS4 and Xbox One, that there's going to be a video game crash in the industry. And I think that's a pretty interesting point. I mean, video game publishers are getting pretty greedy, and there's a lot of incomplete products, kind of like there were back in the early 80s with the Atari products and stuff like that. As far as if the crash is going to be as bad as in the 80s, obviously not. I don't think we're ever going to have an industry that's in as bad a shape as what it was back in the early 80s. I mean, I just think the video game industry is too big to kind of have something like that where it just crashes and like there's no like one supporting games or retailers or anything like that. But I do think a lot of major publishers and third-party developers and game studios could be in major trouble and actually start to hurt financially. And I do think we're actually starting to see a little signs of that with Activision having layoffs, which is very unfortunate, by the way, as well as Electronic Arts and like poor like physical quarters and financial reports and stuff like that. So maybe with all the hurt and the financial struggle that these companies are go through, they'll learn, but who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, these companies have let us down like time and time again, so only time will tell, I guess. But yeah, that's basically just a discussion I wanted to have on basically Nintendo being one of the most reputable companies in the US, in 9th place actually, in a survey. And basically a discussion on third-party developers and greedy business practices and stuff in the industry. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.